So welcome back. And like I did say before we went on that break, that we are exploring a conversation that has been long debated and, of course, bringing it to the fore this evening. And it's been said that when it comes to education, a particular set of people, as the borders, believe that they are more grounded and they tend to have a more holistic approach to life than day schoolers. But on the other hand, the later argues that they have more connection and intimate connection with their family and, of course, a better upbringing. How true is all of this? So we're going to have to explore this conversation together. And you know how we did on the angles? You are going to join the conversation by calling the numbers on your screen or scanning the QR code that will be on your screen as well, and you can join the King's Chat community. I won't be doing this alone. Gladly, I have parents and, of course, an educationist, one who has been in the education sector for 18 years. And so we're going to be exploring this conversation together, and we get to the root of the whole matter. But I'll start off by introducing the only man on set this evening, just directly opposite me. My man, my man. Hello, Manny. Good evening. Welcome to the Angles.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Same here.
All right. And I am also going to introduce you to Jamila. Jamila, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for always having me.
All right. Next to her is Gloria Robson.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you for having me here.
Good. So, I mean, you all are parents, you're experienced in this, and Gloria, you are into education as well. So when we get to have this kind of conversation, I understand that we're going to be having different sides to it. The parenting side, the part of the educators and that of the children. So when it comes to, let me start off by asking, there's always this idea of holistic approach to education, as it were. And there is no way you talk about this holistic approach without talking about, day school and boarding school. So I want to start with you, Jamila. You're a mother. Which do you think has a better holistic approach that makes a child more, like an all-rounder, as opposed to, maybe a half-baked kind of, upbringing? Do you think boarding school gives that, full swing approach, or day school does? Let me hear from you.
Okay, first of all, when you're looking at that, we'll have to know the meaning of holistic for the layman that is watching. What is holistic is developing the child in every aspect of the child's life, economically, physically, spiritually, and otherwise, To me, I think it is for the day schooling. Because boarding school to me, I'm sorry, boarding school to me does more harm than good. So I go with the day schooling. Because whatever you think you are getting your child into in boarding school, because of one thing or the other, reasons best known to them, you can get that in 100-fold in day schooling. So whatever you want to give to your child, to give your child that best, I think take your child to a day school where you can help the child, as the teacher is also, or the school or the environment is also helping the child. Don't just leave it to the school alone. That's what boarding school does to children. Because whatever responsibility you're supposed to have as a parent, the school is taking care of it. You don't have that time one-on-one. They'll tell you, it is what they say that they do to the child. You see that they do, or you know that they do. You are not there to see what is really happening. And obviously, they might have told the children, this is it, that is it. It cannot be as deep as you, the parent, the mother or the father, would offer that child. Okay. So for me, day schooling is this.
Day school has it for you. All right, Manny, yes. I want to ask you a question. Is it better for kids to come home every day to parental guidance, or they should just be in an environment where they learn independency 24/7? Which works better for you and why?
For me?
Yes, as a parent.
Oh, okay. I think everything always boils down on the kind of structure of the family you want to have and the kind of kids you want to raise, right? If when I was growing up, when I was a young teenager, when I was a child, we had most of our friends that went to boarding school, some of us stayed home. I preferred to stay in day school. I prefer my children to be in day school. But that was then when you go to work at 8 in the morning and come back by 4. That era has passed. The era we have right now, people go to work by 4 a.m. and they come back 10, 12 p.m. Who takes care of the child? Who has that time to invest in the child? Yes, ideally, it should be like that. But times have changed. We have to. So the idea of boarding school, to a large extent, helps to relieve people of this concern. Now, there are boarding schools and there are boarding schools. So you also have to choose wisely. You don't just say, because I want my children to be free of my children. To be free of my children is one option. Maybe I should use the word free of my children. I should to be helped, right? To let my children be supervised by other people that I trust and I know they're doing very well. When we were growing up back days, there were a lot of Catholic schools, missionary schools, if I use those words, right? And you know that these people were being raised by God-fearing teachers and principals. So it was easier to do that. And some of them are still in existence now, so you can still do that. Now, so for me, I think boarding is not bad. It depends on the kind of family structure that you run, right? So some parents are not good parents, so let the boarding school help them. Let's give them that option.
You're shaking the table right now.
It's true.
Gloria, let me ask you, which do you think really prepares the child for life, not exams? Because, yes, it's one thing to write exams, it's one thing to be a flying color student in terms of academics and all of those things. But which really prepares one for life?
Okay, for me, I would say that boarding school actually, if it is well structured and the curriculum aligns, very well, then I would say that the boarding house should.
Okay.
Yes, I'm deliberate about my words. The boarding house should. But what we see these days is not the same as it was before, okay? If you're looking at for an environment where the young people, young children are more independent to learn, they are exposed to certain things like extracurricular activities that they practice in the school and all that. That's why I said if that particular boarding house is well structured with the right curriculum lined out for the students, then boarding house should be. But oftentimes too, for schools who have very good curriculum and they do not have the facility or the capacity to run as a boarding house, you'll find that they give the same or even more of this attention in terms of preparing the children ahead of time for their future. They give attention more than some boarding houses. So I cannot sit here to say boarding house is the best, day schooling is the best. What I could say is if the curriculum and the school is properly structured, then we can now say that boarding house was supposed to be designed for such futuristic preparation than the day school.
Okay, so I want to also ask you a follow-up question because that word you said is quite definitive. When you said boarding house should be able to prepare a child for life better than the other, I was going to ask, no matter how structured these boarding houses can be, will it take the place of parents in the presence of the child and the presence of the child?
Are you trying to say, can the boarding house...
Will it supply that parenting that a child truly needs, even if it was like properly structured 100%?
It's a no, no, no for me. As a parent, one of the things that, I look at sometimes is, you see, when you talk about a child and parents bonding, it can never happen to such children when they are out there in the boarding houses. It can never happen. You may have house mistress, house masters who are there. I mean, some of the parents could just pay them and say, please help me take care of my children. But just like Jamila said, the moment you move out or you say bye-bye, the truth is you don't know what happens behind the scene. When they've closed the door at you or the gate at you and they said, have a great journey, and you're back home, you're journeying back home, you don't know what goes on with your children. When you talk about whether the boarding house, what the activities they do in boarding houses can actually take the place of parental, care or attention, it's a no, no, no. It's not possible. Because there are certain things that parents were wired to do with their children that nobody, even if you take boarding houses out of it, nobody can play that role. The parental roles are, are actually very unique, that no other person can play that role.
Okay.
So when parents take their children to boarding houses, just know you're ready to forfeit so many other things that, but sometimes they just close their eyes and they make this thing happen. But the truth is, the kids are losing out on certain things.
Manny said something, Jamila, talking about the fact that for boarders, it relieves their parents, gives them time to do more things, the things that are focused, or maybe focus on their business and all that. But for you, that you are a pro-day schooler, what's the biggest benefit for you having to see your children daily, or them having to see you daily as well? If indeed as a parent you have the opportunity to, why not just keep them in the boarding school so I can get busy? I mean, you're a fashionpreneur, for instance. You have a lot of things to do. You have clothes to make and all those things. Why didn't that come off as a good idea for you to do that?
How would it come up? The minute I said, okay, yes, I want to get married, the next thing is to bear children. Because after 3 months, you see them asking, you have not started training up, you have not started. So you bearing children, exactly. Yes, you bearing children, responsibility comes with it. You should know. Responsibility comes with it. So what are the things? I can't give birth and give you the child to take care of it. Why am I busy? Who am I working for? It's to have a good life and also provide my children with a good life. The sweetest part for me for the day is when my children come back from school and you see me, I leave everything. Everybody that knows me knows my break time is between 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Because what do I do those times? 4, 5, 6, yes. I go pick them from school. Immediately I come back, I cook. That's if there's no food in the house. Then afterwards, we start gisting from the road coming to the house. You need to hear everything that happened at school. Oh, mommy did. Oh, that was, especially my baby, my toddler. Mommy, this was, mommy, that one is Jamila Pro Max, And I enjoy things like that. Hearing him, and now talk of the elder brother. This happened. Mommy, you would not believe this, you know. If they're in school, there is nobody they say those things to. And I'm sorry, I have met some brothers. They tend to, I don't want to use the word heartless, they tend to use their heart less. Because they have this thing it's just been me. They see their parents once in a while. The house mistress thing you're talking about, they are not always there. You have 1 or 2 house mistresses to like hundreds of students. So how do they take care of these people?
When you mean they kind of act like as though they don't have empathy, so to speak, do you think that it's because they were wired to be independent for a very early start?
Yes.
As opposed to, day students.
Yes.
Now, don't you have issues with trying to, a child that stays with you, for instance, now, that level of independence, is it not sometimes more difficult to deal with those kind of children because they are always seeing their parents, over-reliant on their parents?
No.
As opposed to when you're in the boarding house. Manny, do you want to comment on this?
No. Let me quickly say that.
Said,
No. I'm sorry. As in, no to what she has said.
Okay.
Yeah, I will also like
Not
to
to
say
what
something
she
on
has
that
said.
too.
No, in the sense that there is a time to train your child. There is a time to be their friend. And the truth is, you let them know. This is why you are there. As the parent, nobody should play that role for you. Because what you don't teach them, they learn it outside. And they learn it, especially with their parents, school, house, anywhere.
What makes you think they're not learning it in classroom before they get
That's
home?
what I'm saying,
All right,
school.
Hold your thoughts, Manny, please come in.
I don't like that smile, Manny.
No. I think the topic of today was to discuss which of these school options
Provides a
holistic
education
development for a child in the world, for the world, right? So when you asked her about, as a parent, parents, when you send your kids to school, it's not your parenting is you've mortgaged it
already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what for that 12 hours they are out of your custody, parenting is not the issue. So don't expect the school to parent them. That is, I want to just clarify that. You are talking about if the gisting and everything, you as who you are, as Jamila, you want to hear conversation and all the gist and all the gossip, you enjoy, it's not a problem, it's good. Some women don't want that destruction. Your break time, according to you, is 4 hours.
Yes.
I can't be, my wife cannot be in the bank and have 4 hours. That means I will do that 4 hours. No way.
That is why you have to decide on what you want, money.
That's what I'm talking about investment.
Let's hear from him. Yeah,
so that's my own point of view, right? So my own issue right now, there's a word you may have heard in modern day. It's called delegation. Do you understand? Back in the old days, if you find one nanny, find one house help, it's delegating.
It is these days they do nanny. Money, those days they don't.
It's a title.
And these days they have worse boarding house than those days.
Are you going to
said
let
that
me?
before.
Yes, so the issue right now is this. Like I said, you choose the boarding house you want your children to go to.
Yes, continue.
Why do 2% of the richest people in the world send their children to boarding schools in Switzerland and the Alps? Why? You think it's about parenting? So the idea here is this. What is education? It's about developing a child to be able to manage, engage, and survive in the world. A boarding houser, a boarder, let me use that word, let me use boarding houser, let me use my word because they are supervisors. So a boarding house, someone that went to boarding house, if you drop the boy in a desert or the girl, they will survive.
That's not true. Not always.
Wait now. You are saying that's not true.
When you went.
Yeah?
That's not always.
When you were.
That's not always.
We are talking about. We are talking about.
One is not always. Don't generalize it.
Hold on. Let
Don't
me finish.
generalize
Let me finish. Did you go to boarding school? How did you?
Don't generalize it. Do you know if I
Let me
went?
finish.
Jamila,
That's what I'm saying. Did you finish?
Let's just hear
You see, this is why I don't like Jamila when she says. She take everything personal.
Please, let
Anyway,
her.
as I say, so when the bother going on that last episode that you talked about, dependency, engagements. The bother, yes, while he's there. Do you know the most beautiful thing about boarding school? Discipline. That they cannot, most of them don't see, most of the day school, students don't see in the house. They don't even see in the school. But when you go to a boarding school, because every time, you say management of time, there is none that happens in day. Look, in day school, you cannot cover everything within that 8 a.m. to 2 o'clock. You can't. But the border,
The extra classes.
go and sleep, go and read, there's a word they call prep. You may have heard of it. Yes, we get into a lot of prepping, but that's not the issue. They spend more time focusing on their on their academics rather than sweep the floor, go and fetch water, go and buy bread, go and buy zip.
But don't they do that in boarding
Don't
school
they
as
do?
well?
What?
No, he said they
Fresh
do.
water.
He said
They don't
it's
actually
boarding
go out
school
to
now.
They don't go anywhere.
I know,
They
but
don't
where?
go
To do
anywhere.
what?
But
There are
they have
activities that
time
has
for
to do with
everything. They have
cleaning
time.
up and all of those things. That
Yes,
they do
time
at
to
home.
read, time to sleep.
You see, the amount of distraction in the boarding school from academics is lesser.
Oh,
You see,
okay,
you are sending your school
Excuse
you are
me.
sending your child to get an education, not to get parenting.
Money, these 4 hours I said, obviously the times for my children to do their homework
Is it
is
your-
included.
Is it your turn to talk now?
I'm not, you are talking, you've talked. You've talked. These 4 hours I said, it is time to, obviously my toddler cannot do his homework himself. He's still learning how to write.
No, he's
so
not.
who is going to
He's
put
not
him
qualified.
through?
You cannot use the
Hold
toddler.
on,
You
hold
cannot. I
on.
said
I'm using that as an
secondary school.
instance.
Boarding in secondary school.
Money. Now, I have, my first son is in JSS3, just wrote junior WAEC. There are sometimes he comes home and say, Mommy, I want to use your phone for so, I need data.
We have
But
Wi-Fi.
hold on, turn
We
on
have
the
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi for me, I want to use the laptop. Depend on the homework he wants to do. So those times, I am there for them. I do night always.
Because you want to be
Because I want to. Because in as much as I want to dedicate myself to my children, I am still dedicating myself to my job. So if they're in the boarding school, again, you're saying time to read. Do you know that when they're in that boarding school or whatever, time to read, do they monitor them the way they say they do?
presumably.
All right, let me hear from you, Gloria. You've been the head of a boarding school before, so to speak. Give us your insight on that, because the reason why I want that insight is I feel like in recent times, boarding school has been demonized, so to speak, and it looks like it has been painted in a bad light,
Bad people.
right? And I would want us to clarify certain things because, of course, we have parents who are trying to make decisions for their children, and not all of them would have that patience to actually do their research to know what works for them. And this could just be an eye-opener for them. So your experience at the time as, one who worked in the boarding school and now out of it, the balance to whatever they've said.
Okay, so I would personally just say from the experiences that I gathered then, I could first of all tell you that the experience or what experiences that they have now is not like before.
Okay.
That's the truth. The boarding houses that we had before is no more like what is happening
God
now.
bless you.
There are a lot of disadvantages, and there are a lot of things that I personally, okay, for example, I was single when I was heading schools. And now I got married and I started having my children, and I made up my mind not to take my children to any boarding house. I don't want it because of what I have seen, because of the experiences I've seen children who most of their parents bring them. And then we had children as young as 8 years in the boarding house. And the question was, I felt I was still quite young, but I felt for them because I found most of them very low. Some of them sometimes became very lonely. They had this homesickness. They want to go home. They want to see their parents. And oftentimes we had to be calling the parent to talk with them, just to encourage them. But the truth is, if you want to compare then and now, not even too far anyway, and now, because of the level of, will I use the word corruption? Or nonchalancy from the people who are supposed to be carers and caregivers to these young people, they no longer have patience like before again. Because everyone is out looking for money, more money to take care of themselves because, because of the situation of the world now, everyone is doing how many jobs at the same time. Parents no longer have this time. And then caregivers are also busy. Instead of giving attention to these children, we find out that most times they are concerned about their own affairs, so much that things will be happening in those boarding houses that these caregivers are not aware.
Okay.
So that when these things become public, the first thing that happens to them is that they become shocked. I'm here and these things are happening. You start finding things like, should I mention lesbianism and all that, homosexual going on in the boarding houses. As I don't even know what to say. It's quite painful sometimes to know that parents carry their children with that trust. Who can we trust? You mentioned trust. Can you still trust people to handle your children for you now in this day and age with all that is going on?
All right, please, you have to hold your thoughts right now. And we want to hear from those who went to boarding schools as well. Henry from Kano has joined the conversation. Hello, Henry. Good evening. Welcome to the Angles. Hello, Henry.
Hello, good evening, Mary. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
I have missed the show like 3 weeks now.
Welcome back.
Miss you too.
Jamila, good evening. I'm greeting.
Good
I'm always
evening,
on your
Henry.
side.
Sorry, good evening. I can hear you. Thank you for calling in.
Talking about boarding school and day school. The boarding school these days is no longer safe like before.
Okay.
In boarding school these days, children are being introduced to joint courts. In boarding school these days, children are being introduced to joint hookup. In boarding school these days, a lot of things happen behind the scene. But when your child is in day school, if he goes out and comes back, when his character or her character is changing, you will be able to detect and know how to correct things. But when your child is in boarding school, like of these days, things got worse. a lot of them, like in my area here in Kanu, a lot of children are in boarding school, like in my compound. Like 3 of them, I know them, they are very lazy. They don't know how to cook. These are guests. They don't know how to cook. Even one, the mother was quarreling her the other day to on gas. But when your child is in this school, my daughter of 8 years old cook. Because why? She's seeing what her mother is doing. She's being corrected. If her character starts changing, we notice, we follow it up. But in boarding school, the person, whomever that is in charge of them, is not going to keep eye on them like a camera.
That is it.
You don't know what they are discussing. One might be corrupt inside their midst, and that one that is corrupt will not corrupt other ones. So, boarding school these days is not.
Oh, okay. We lost the call. Thank you so much, Henry, for what you said. But it feels like this conversation is tilting towards really canceling out on boarding school. And I really want those who have experienced, boarding school to call in, because yes, I can understand that in their defense, it's that, oh, boarding school these days. But how about day school these days? Is it also safe from
A lot is happening.
questioning?
A lot is happening.
Yes.
I went to boarding school when I was in JSS1 just for one term.
And you left.
Hey.
Okay. Gloria, let me let you land on your point so that Manny can come in. With what you were saying earlier before the call came in, juxtaposing between the boarding school and then your experience as a single lady, and how that you didn't want to take your children.
So I actually made that decision, and of course with my husband's agreement, not to take our children to boarding houses. I have 3 of them now, and by God's grace, my first son is done. He's already getting into the university. Then my second one, of course, is done with this WAEC, and then my daughter is 10. She's taking her common entrance. The truth is, I feel very fulfilled being able to take them through that, that training, that home, should I use the word grooming? Yes, I love what I've done with them. And I look at the result most times and I'm like, God, thank you for the grace. The truth is, it was because of all the things that I saw that made me make that decision. I am not saying that the boarding houses are not good or boarding schools are not good. There are some people, of course, those days, federal schools were very good. And these days, we have private schools who are also trying their best. But I am telling you that if you actually want to groom your children and give that parental attention, giving out anyway, most times I tell people that you cannot give what you don't have. Exactly. So when parents are not very exposed to what they are supposed to, the kind of lifestyle they are supposed to, I'm big on lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle they are supposed to live, and they are living below. The children, of course, such parents don't have that confidence to groom their children. So they rather take them out there and let other people, more so because they want to create the time to do business. Please, I just want to wrap up with this. There's a particular client of mine. Of course, I consult for schools now and some other organizations. But there is a particular client of mine has 3 boys, and they just opened a new factory. They are into different, food, yogurt and all that. And then the husband told her, please, these 3 boys, they are going to the boarding house. And she's been crying for the past how many weeks that she doesn't want. Why? Because she knows what is going on, and she doesn't want such to happen.
We have Ruth from Lagos calling. Hello, Ruth. Welcome to Angles.
Hi, Henry.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. So, I've been listening to the conversation. You said those who attended boarding school should call, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm listening to the conversation around boarding school.
Oh my goodness. Ruth, please do well to call us back. We'd like to hear from you as one who attended a boarding school.
And
you have to.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she's been crying that she doesn't want to take her children there. So one of the things that I told her, I said, okay, if you don't want to take your children there, since that's what your husband wants, why don't you employ a nanny in the house? Someone maybe advanced that can take care of these children. I mean, these boys are not babies anymore. But because the husband said, I want to be free to do my business and I don't want any distraction. So are the kids distractions now?
Okay, so is it even safe? Sometimes when we say, okay, there are options of nannies and the likes of them, if we go into that world, that's a different conversation altogether.
Sure.
And there are issues that, you know, kind of affect children in that sense.